What you saw there was more drone and ballistic missile strikes in Ukraine, specifically in Kyiv, more innocent Ukrainians being slaughtered by Vladimir Putin and Russia. I show you that at the beginning of many of these videos because Donald Trump promised on day one he would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. He said his relationship with Putin and Zelensky was so good, it would be very easy to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. But like all of Donald Trump's promises, it was one big fraud. Donald Trump now says that he was being sarcastic or he was joking when he said that he would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours, when he said he would end the war in Gaza in 24 hours, when he said that he would reduce housing prices. This was all, I guess what, he was being sarcastic. LOL, JK. No, being the president of the United States is a very serious matter. And when you see 450 drones and missiles striking Kyiv, when you see people in Gaza being starved and killed, when you see a much more unstable world where you see housing becoming less affordable, when you see inflation surging and Donald Trump's out there saying, oh, we're in a golden age, things are great, we're bringing manufacturing back, it is a boom. You know, you just have to call out the BS and the fraud and the deadly fraud now that Donald Trump commits on a daily basis. I mean, do you remember at the beginning of this term when Donald Trump brought in like the head of SoftBank and OpenAI and Oracle, and he had them all stand there and he said, what? $500 billion are going to be invested in the United States, or close to $1 trillion in all of these AI plants. We're doing it. We did it. Look, all of these people are here doing it, and they're saying this is happening. As I always say with Donald Trump, his words are meaningless because he's a felon, a sexual abuser, a fraud, a bankrupter, and a liar. His words are trash. Right? They don't matter. He lies about everything. So you have to look at the conduct. And now we learn that this $500 billion Stargate, remember they called it Stargate. Well, that pledge, total BS. It ain't happening. They may build one small data center by the end of this year, but basically no money is going to come out of that. It's like when Donald Trump goes to the Middle East and says, I brought back $17 trillion. What? You brought back more than half of the United States GDP from countries like Qatar, whose entire annual GDP is 150 billion. No, you are a sexual abuser, a liar, a felon, a fraud, and a bankrupter, and you lie about literally everything. Oh, but Donald Trump posts these images, folks. He posts memes, AI memes. This is from the White House account of Donald Trump with fireworks and eagles and American flags. I was the hunted. Now I'm the hunter. Now you're the hunter? What the F are you even talking about? Just do your freaking job. Stop golfing on the weekends. Stop the social media posts of like girls grabbing snakes. I don't even know what the hell you're posting, or posting AI images of Obama being arrested. How about you just make things more affordable? Just behave normal. Behave like a grown-up. Maybe we start by behaving like an adult. Because if someone behaved the way Trump behaved, they would not be able to get a job at any business, yet alone become the president of the United States. Only in the Republican Party can you have someone who behaves like this, whose background is felon, sexual abuser, bankrupter, fraud, and even get a job like this in the first place. But Donald Trump, he wants all of the distractions because, now his dark past is haunting him because people are saying, wait a minute. I actually do think it's a big deal that you hung out around Jeffrey Epstein and that Epstein was sex trafficking girls at Mar-a-Lago, and that you and Epstein would have parties at Mar-a-Lago together at the time he was doing his sex trafficking. Wait a minute. Maybe the reason that you are now hiding all of these Epstein files, maybe the MeidasTouch network was right. Maybe it's because you're afraid of your connections coming out. By the way, as I've said before, about 10% of the files have already been released. About 90% haven't been released. From the files of Epstein that have been released, Donald Trump's all over it. And it's damning stuff. I mean, 14-year-old girls saying they were introduced to Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago by Epstein. Girls who Epstein sex trafficked said they were going to Trump's hotels in Atlantic City. Donald Trump being Doe 174 in the civil cases. A 14-year-old girl testifying about meeting Trump at Ghislaine Maxwell's criminal case. Donald Trump being all over the flight logs. Donald Trump saying Epstein is a great guy who likes women on the younger side. It's damning stuff is right in front of our eyes. Maria Farmer, one of the people who was a victim of Epstein, saying that she went to Epstein's office. Donald Trump shows up and then Epstein goes to Donald Trump. This one's not for you. Go in that room. There's a treasure trove of that exists already of evidence against Donald Trump, but he wants to distract. So he writes the following. Obama himself, this is what Trump wrote yesterday. Obama himself manufactured the Russia hoax. Why are you saying it 3 times too? Russia. Why? Because that's how you brainwash people with the repetition. Russia. That's how you have to treat your cult because their brains are MAGA mush. So that's how they remember Russia. Is that what it is? Crooked Hillary, Sleepy Joe, and numerous others participated. The crime of the century, irrefutable evidence, a major threat to our country. The irrefutable evidence is that you love Vladimir Putin. We see it in public even right now. On July 3rd, Vladimir Putin said he needed 60 days in order to finish his summer offensive against Ukraine. 11 days later, you announced that you would pause secondary sanctions against Russia for 50 days. 50 plus 11, 61 days. Oh, you gave Putin 1 extra day for him to complete his summer offensive? Why, you didn't think we would be able to uncover that? Or you think the corporate news is just going to go along with everything you say now, which they do, but independent media is going to call you out for it. You literally said, Russia, if you're listening, hack my opponent's email accounts, basically. And then they were hacked. And then they were hacked. Wow. Oh, and by the way, while all of this is going on, folks, this is what Putin said. The Kremlin said on Monday that it did not rule out the possibility of a meeting between Putin and Trump if Russia and U.S. presidents were both in Beijing at the same time in September. As Olga Nestorova says, great visual, Putin, Trump, and Xi Jinping. Don't you imagine that that's likely going to happen? Because Trump loves being seen as like an authoritarian. He hates our allies that are democracies. Who does he look up to? He looks up to Putin and Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping. More posts from Donald Trump trying to distract us from his cover-up of the Epstein files. Adam Shifty Shift is in big trouble. He falsified loan documents. He once said my son would go to prison on a scam that Schiff, along with other crooked Democrats, illegally manufactured in order to stage an actual coup. My son didn't. They just shut up. And the guy just whines about everything. He is a little petulant baby. I like this. This is from Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter, Bernice King. One of the things that Donald Trump did yesterday was, I'm releasing more MLK files. I'm releasing more Martin Luther King Jr. files. And so Bernice King posts, now, do the Epstein files, with a post of her father, Martin Luther King Jr. And isn't it just so obvious what's happening as well? So Donald Trump ordered MAGA Mike Johnson to shut down Congress yesterday. Keep checking back on the MeidasTouch Network. I'm going to do a whole video on MAGA Mike Johnson shutting down Congress. But yeah, Congress is now going into recess in order to avoid having to vote on Epstein, because Trump's plan, this is out there, with MAGA Mike Johnson and Pam Bondi, is if we don't talk about it in Congress for 4 or 5 weeks, maybe the American people will focus on it less. So just let's shut down Congress and then come back maybe after Labor Day, and then we won't even bring it up again. That's their plan right now. Oh, and while all of that's going on, you have Pam Bondi scheduled to speak at an anti-human trafficking summit just weeks after announcing there will be no prosecutions of Epstein's clients and people on Epstein's client list. You know, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, she was the Attorney General in Florida during the key years when Epstein was sex trafficking as well. So I'm not sure she should be hosting the sex trafficking or the trafficking speech, but that's par for the course with these MAGA Republicans. I mean, look at the clowns that Donald Trump has. The top federal prosecutor in New Jersey right now is Alina Habba. And Alina Habba went on Hannity last night to whine. She can't get confirmed by the Senate because, you know, she can't get confirmed by the Senate. And none of the judges want her in that district because she's just absolutely the worst. And so she goes on Hannity to whine. They don't want me, Hannity. They don't want me to be the federal prosecutor anymore. Her term is up. You can only be the interim federal prosecutor for like 120 days. And so her time is up. Bye-bye, Alina. Here, but play this clip.
What about going before the full Senate?
Well, that's the point. I can't get in front of the full Senate. If Hakeem Jeffries is making comments like that and directing my senators, Cory Booker and Andy Kim, to not allow me to get in front of Senate, which is passing a blue slip. They have not only not met with me, they have not even, Sean, spoken to me once in their life. And it wasn't until today, after the vote, which I still do not know the results, that I got an email from Cory Booker. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Why do I suspect that it's not going to be favorable to you, considering the people that would be voting on this are Obama judges? I would expect it to be political. I hope I'm wrong. I assume you expect the same.
I hope you're wrong, too. Our country is better than that, Sean. That is why we fought hard. Our country is better than this. We are supposed to have it. Thank you.
Well,
thank you. It's
unfair. I think you've done a great job.
And then Donald Trump's mouthpiece, his chief propagandist, Caroline Leavitt, was asked, there are reports that the FBI was going through the Epstein files, that they were told to flag every time Donald Trump's name was mentioned. Can you speak to that? She's like, you're going to have to ask the FBI. Throwing Pam Bondi and Kash Patel under the bus. Let's play it.
There are reports that President Trump or the FBI agents going through the Epstein files were told to flag President Trump's name if it came up. Is that something the president was aware of, or something that he directed those agents or the Department of Justice to do?
I don't believe that's something the White House was aware of. You'd have to ask the FBI.
Caroline. Hey, Caroline Leavitt, any concern at all right over here that that there's a broader issues with this Epstein files? Here, play this clip.
The president just ordered the FBI to release the full Epstein files, just get it all out there.
The president has said if the Department of Justice and the FBI want to move forward with releasing any further credible evidence, they should do so. As to why they have or have not or will, you should ask the FBI about that.
Hey, Caroline Leavitt, was the president serious when he said that he wanted to block the Washington Commanders Stadium unless they call themselves the Redskins? Here, play this clip.
Was the president serious, or was he joking this weekend when he said he might block a Washington Commanders Stadium deal if they don't change their name?
The president was serious, and as part of the art of the deal, part of his negotiating skills, as you know, sports is one of the many passions of this president, and he wants to see the name of that team changed.
Why is he getting involved in that? Why does he see that as part of his purview?
I think you've seen the president gets involved in a lot of things that most presidents have not. He's a non-traditional president. He likes to see results on behalf of the American people. And if you actually poll this issue with sports fans across the country and even in this city, people actually do support the president's position on this and the name change.
Folks, there's always a tweet for everything when it comes to Donald Trump. Here's what he posted on October 8th, 2013. He wrote, "President should not be telling the Washington Redskins to change their name. Our country has far bigger problems. Focus on them, not nonsense." Oh, well, now you're getting involved in all of this, Donald. If you ask Americans from this latest American Research Group poll about Donald Trump, his approval rating is only 38%. Is the U.S. in a recession? 52% of Americans believe we're currently in a recession right now, and only 17% of Americans approve of the way Donald Trump is handling the not releasing the Epstein files and the Epstein list. Keep up the pressure, folks. Keep up the pressure. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.